Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we meet yet again. This is our final stretch in terms of all the videos that I've been doing. This is the last one. I did indicate that on yesterday's message, which I sent for via your class rep. So we're not dealing with doors. To be specific, we're dealing with metal doors. And in terms of the doors, we just look at the door frame, which is important. The door and the door frame, that is very important to understand. And as you can see here, the 813 by 2032, that is the size of your door, which is very important to understand. And one other thing, this is where the lintel goes on top of the door frame. Of course, it must overlap on both sides. And we also have the width, which is 813. And then what you see here, it is the 32 millimeter thick frame that we need to remember. And this is also referred to as a threshold. That is the head, and then these two are the gems. Unfortunately, when it comes to doors, we don't have reveals as it was the case in terms of the windows that we dealt with yesterday. And in terms of the schedule, we have a DF type of doors, and we have D1, D3, D5, and D9. This is the total number of doors that we need. If we need 4, which is D1, D3, D5, as well as D9. And this is the specification where we deal with the frame and the finish to the frame. Remember, it's important to read that specification so that you understand what's going on. In terms of the frame, we have a frame here with a size. Also, we have a finished with a frame, which is a universal undercoat and 2 coats of high gloss enamel paint. And then we come to the actual door, which is a 40 millimeter hollow core flush door with a size of 813 by 2032. And then this is the finishing in terms of prep and paint work that has to take place in as far as the door is concerned. And then when it comes to the finish, especially the threshold, it's important to understand that we have this Mali 2 millimeter thick Mali semi-flex vinyl floor tiles, trend by trend size. We also have a 28 millimeter screed, and we also have a 69 by 90 millimeter Miranda skirting, which also will receive 3 coats of your polyethylene varnish. This is where we deal with the threshold. That is the bottom of the door. And then we have on the lintels, we have a brick force that we must apply for 5 courses above, each and every course, so about 5 courses above the door opening. And then when we deal with the door, we look at the ironmongery that we need to deal with. That is your locks and everything that comes with the door. All right, mortise locks, 2 lever arch handles, the door locks, etc. And then we have a door stopper at the bottom. So we need to take this into consideration. And then where we deal with the walls, we have a 15 millimeter internal plaster, 1:4 with 1 coat, filler coat, and 2 coats interior quality PVA paint. So it's important to understand all of that before you start, and then we draw a measuring list. In as far as measuring is concerned, we have a door that I've spoken about, we have a frame, ironmongery, and then we have to make adjustments in terms of the half brick wall. And then we also have finishes that I alluded to in terms of your your 2 mm Marley, vinyl tiles, etc. Also, that also we have other things that are pertains to finishes in terms of adjustments. That's your plaster and paint, and then we have your lintel, and then we have your threshold. So before we start, you just need to categorize this and say that we are dealing with doors. So we are starting, we already looked at the door as well as the description of the door. That is the description of the door that I'm going to write up here. We say we have a 40 mm. I need to move that to the left. We have a 40 mm hollow or flush door. With a commercial venue, commercial. On both sides. On both sides of the door. And with two concealed edges. 2 times. Now we need to get the size. Size is 813 with a door size of 813 by 2022. That would be your door size. I need to unbolt that. That's what you have. And you remember that we need one type of this door, which is DF. That's one type. It's called DF. And we need about 4 of those multiplied by 4. We need 4 of those, and then we underline. That one is done. With regards to the doors, you just describe the type of doors, the thickness, the size, and so on and so on. And then we close and we open a new description, and then we now dealing with the frame. Let me just move this to the left. Now come to the frame. I'm sure you've noticed that I haven't dealt with painting as yet, but however, I will deal with that when I'm done with the door and when I'm done with the frame. So let's go and do the frame. In terms of the frame, that is the description that we need to put there on the description column, where we say you have a 1.2 mm galvanized rest metal door lining. I don't know why it keeps on doing this to me. Metal door lining with two times 100 mm steel part hinges or half brick wall. Why is it doing this to me? or half peak wall. And then the size is 813 by 2032 millimeter. Let me move that. All right, we just described the frame, and what we forgot to do here, we're supposed to write the reference in terms of the doors. We have a D1, a D3, D5, as well as D9. That should be the reference to that. Let's move it to the left. Maybe we should have left, let's see, around there. Yes. And then in terms of the frame, once again, we need to indicate how many frames are we looking at. And our understanding is that we have D1, D3, D5, and D9. That means that we have a total of 4 of those doors, of those door frames. So I'll just copy there and paste just to save time. And then what we do afterwards, we close and we open a new column. So we get to a new description or item. So this is when I'm going to deal with painting with regards to the door itself and regards to the frame. So let's do painting. And then with regards to painting, if we go back on the frame as well as the door, if we paint the door, we have to follow this description here, where we say prep and paint one coat. This is for the door, pink wood, because we've got the timber door, pink wood primer. And one coat universal, and one coat universal universal undercoat, and 2 coats of high gloss, and 2 coats of high gloss enamel paint. As I already said, you are painting on the timber doors. Okay, if we go back now, on the drawing, where we have the size of the door on the horizontal, which is 813, what we're going to do now, we're going to do a side cast where we say 813 as the horizontal length. On that, we need to add the thickness of the door. If you go back on the description here, you will see we have a 40 millimeter thick door. We have to add that thickness because that needs to be painted as well. So we add 40 there. If we add 40, then we are left with 853, which is the new dimension now for horizontal length in as far as the horizontal is concerned. You're going to have to move this to the left because it is horizontal. And then we come to the vertical. On the vertical, we go back on the drawing once again. And we have 2032, that is your height or your vertical for your door. 2032, so we say we have 2032. You must also add the thickness, because there is a thickness there on top. There is a thickness on top. There is a thickness on top, which is 40 in terms of the door, because you have to paint all the sides of the door, the front and the side. So the side is 40, and the total for that should give you 2032 plus 40. That should give you 2072. Okay, that is just the door. So we've got a new horizontal for the door, and then the new vertical for the door. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go straight to the dim, and then we start with the horizontal, which will be 0.85 and 0.85 by 2.07, and then we underline that, but you must remember that we are only looking at the front elevation. However, we need to look at the inside. You need to look both at the inside as well as outside, which will be ×2. And we have a total of 4 doors, so it will be 4 by 2. I need to put something there so that this thing doesn't move, maybe a minus, I don't know, as I did last time. So that minus doesn't mean anything. So what we have here in terms of the door is that we have the horizontal and the vertical. And what we did there, we added the thickness of the door. And then we have to paint it on the outside of the door as well as the inside of the door. That would be ×2 by the number of doors, which is 4. So that is painting now in terms of the door. Now I'm going to come to the frame. I just need to copy and paste, and then I'll make changes where necessary. So we close and we open. Forgot the description once again. Sorry, the reference once again. And the reference for what we just did, obviously we are talking about the D1. That would be the same reference. Copy. I need to put a reference there. All right. So we now come to the frame. When it comes to the frame, we say prep and one coat, which is your universal undercoat. Universal undercoat. And 2 coats. And 2 coats of high gloss. High gloss enamel paint on metal doors. Okay. So let's deal with this painting. And before we do that, we must just remember that we are dealing here with a frame. Therefore, it is the opportune time that I show you the frame, the metal steel frame that I'm referring to. So as I said, that will be a threshold, and then these will be your gems, the left gem and the right gem, and then that will be your head. All right. So what you're going to be dealing with here, you're going to be dealing with the metal linings of this frame. As you can see, those are the linings. So I'm going to show you here. I hope you will understand that on this side, this is where this is. On this side, it's 32 millimeter thick. All right, that is also shown on the plan. If you see the drawing, that's the 32 I'm referring to on the top. Then also that's the 32 I'm referring to. If you look on there, that's 32 millimeter thick. And then we have this part here, which is 12. All right. And then this part here is 46. All right. And I just forgot this part here. That part is 20, 32, and then we have 12. So what we're going to do here is that we need to work out the width in terms of painting. Remember this, whatever dimension you see here, you also find it on the other side, okay? Because you have the inside of the building, that's your door there. You also have the outside. The dimensions are pretty much the same. So we know what the height is because we have looked at the height. We also know what is the width in terms, this is your horizontal, and then we also know what the height is. This is 813, this is 2032. That also applies here, but we need to work out the width of this painting that will go on this metal frame, but we need to take into consideration here the linings I've just pointed out, the 20, the 32, as well as the 12. So what we need to do here, we're going to add all of them, which will give us on the side cast. Let me do that on the side cast so that you understand where we are. On the side cast, as I was saying, we need to add the linings, which is 20 plus 32. I've already pointed that out to you, and then plus 12. If you add all of that, it will give you 62 is equal to 64, sorry. And that 64, by the way, you're gonna need to multiply that by 2. Multiply by 2 because we've got two sides. Multiply by 2. If you multiply by 2, that will give us 128. So those are just the linings that I just looked at. And you must just remember that inside here, where is the inside here, there is brickwork that goes on. That is your half brickwork. Your half brickwork is the one that goes in there. That is your 110, by the way. So we need to add the thickness or the width of that wall to the side cast, which is the thickness of the wall. Let's just say wall thickness. The wall thickness is 110. Okay, we need to unbold that. The wall thickness is 110. So if you add the two, that should give you 238. 238. Let me just move this and make it bold. 238. That will be 238. What if we're doing here? If we're trying to work out the width in terms of painting that door frame, we know what the height is, which is 2032, and then also know what the width is, which is 813. So we just had to establish the width or the breadth that is on both sides. And if you remember, we only looked here at one part of that door frame. But what I'm going to show you now is that when it comes to the width. Sorry, when it comes to the width, I can say the width is 0, it's 813, that would be 0.81 by the width 0.24. 0.24 comes from here. Okay, let me move that and then also change that to a normal number with no decimals so that it doesn't confuse you. And then I just need to move it. So we just done that. We took the width, all right, because each and every door we have D1, D3, D5, and D9. They all have one threshold that is at the bottom of the frame. So what we're going to do now, we're going to multiply that by 4 because we've got a total of 4 doors, right? With the bottom part of the door. I'm going to underline that once again, underline that. And then we move on now because this was just the horizontal in terms of the door. You get one horizontal for each door and you have a total of 4 doors. Now I'm going to come now to the vertical part of the door. And we know we have 2032 for the door. That's your vertical height. So how are we going to paint? We're going to say the 2.03, which is 2032. Sorry, by 0.24, which is the width when we paint. We underline that. But here, you must remember now that we have in each door, we've got 2 sides, the left side and the right side, all right, in terms of the verticals. And we have a total of how many doors? Of 4 doors. So we're going to say 4 by 2. That gives us a date now. We say 4 by 2. I'm going to put a minus there once again. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just doing it so that this thing doesn't move. So I've got 4 doors and they've got 2 sides in terms of the vertical. If you look at the vertical of each door, or if you look at the jamb of each door, we've got 2 jambs. That 2 represents that, and then 4 represents the number of your doors. And once again, you mustn't forget to reference that, which is D1, D3, D5, and D9. Now we're going to come to the priming of the metal linings with bitumen paint, not exceeding 300. Sorry. The reason why we are looking at the back sides of the metal linings, it is because we want to make sure that no water penetrates through the frame. So it's important that we use a bitumen paint. And for that, we say prime, close, and open, a new one. The backs of metal paint, metal linings. This happens on the frame, remember, with bitumen. With bitumen paint, not exceeding 300 millimeters in terms of the girth or wide, if you like. So we're just doing only those sides. That is the vertical, and then we also do the horizontal as well. Once again, you must remember that when it comes to the horizontal on that frame, you remember that we've got, I'm trying to save time. that you're only measuring one part of it, meaning that on the threshold or at the bottom of the door, on the outside, that is where now we're going to apply that bitumen. Forgot to write here 300, not 30. So we're just measuring the edges. So we're going to measure that. We're just painting the edges. So we measure that in terms of linear meters. And then we now come now to the jambs, the left jamb and the right jamb, and only painting only on the edges or the outside of the frame where the frame meets with the wall. So once again, we take the 2.03, and then we know there are 2 gems per door times the number of doors, which is 4. And then we underline that as well. And then we put the reference. So we're done now with the doors, we're done with the frame, we're done with painting. Now we're going to come to ironmongery. All right. With regards to ironmongery, we need to remember that we have a door lock that we must fit in. It says a door lock, that's a Union CZ682 chromium plated door handle and a 75mm upright 2-lever mortise door lock. So there's a door lock here and a door plate handle that we need to take into consideration. So what's going to happen here on the description, we close and we open and we say we need a Union CZ, let's write it properly, CZ682 CP door lock set with CP handles, and upright 2-lever lock set. You're going to apply that or fit it into a timber door. And then we have at the bottom here, we have a 75mm rubber door or 32 diameter red rubber door stop plugged to floor. And put that in the middle once again. And we have a 32mm 32 diameter. Let me see, get that one right. Yes. Diameter red rubber door stop plug to floor. Okay, and then if we look at each door, we know that each door will receive that. Therefore, in terms of this type of a door, which is a door type DF, so in total, we need going to install that or fit that into 4 total number of doors. So that's 1, and then supposed to be just 1 as a number here, no decimals. Then I can put that in the middle and underline it. That's what we need in terms of ironmongery. I'm supposed to write there ironmongery so that you guys are not lost. Okay, and then I need to make sure that I open space there. That's your ironmongery, which is now done. And then we now come to, maybe I should do another presentation. Maybe I just stop there in terms of the doors, the frame, painting in ironmongery. And then on the next session, then I will focus on the adjustments, lintels, as well as the threshold. Thank you very much for now, and then I will see you in the next session. Thank you.